Alright guys, come on. You eventually knew that this video was gonna born, where I fully dedicate a video to BMWs. Ask 10 BMW enthusiasts. What do they think about the greatest BMW era? Which one was it? And I guarantee that most of them will give you the same answer. It was the 2000s. Okay, I still know that 80s were also amazing and 90s was perfect, but the 2000s are more than perfect. Also, don't get me wrong. BMW still makes some incredible cars today. The G80 M3 is unbelievably capable. The B58 is one of the best turbocharged engines on the market right now. And the new M cars are faster than ever. But whenever a car enthusiast starts talking about their dream BMW, the conversation almost always goes back to the 2000s. So the E46, E39, E60, E92, and even the Z8. And honestly, I don't think that is nostalgia. I think BMW genuinely built something special during that period. Because back then, BMW wasn't chasing trends. They weren't trying to build rolling smartphones, or they weren't trying to impress people with giant touchscreens. They were obsessed only with one thing: driving. And I genuinely believe that that was the thing that made the 2000s the greatest era of BMW. Okay, but before we actually start with the video, I want to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel, because my goal is to reach 1000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and it would be so amazing if I could do that. So just a small click from you, it's free, it helps me a lot, and I very much appreciate that. So thank you again, and let's get to the video. One of the biggest reasons I think the 2000s were so special is because BMW had an identity. Just ask anyone what BMW stood for back then. Yes, the ultimate driving machine. It wasn't just a slogan, it was the entire company's philosophy. Everything pointed towards the driver. The dashboard was angled towards you, the steering actually talked back, and even the base models felt like somebody cared about how they drove. And that's what made BMW different. Mercedes focused on luxury, Audi focused on quattro, while BMW focused on making the drive home from work feel like the best part of your day. And the best part, you didn't need an M badge to understand it either. Even something as ordinary as a 320i or 330d still felt like a proper driver's car. That's something I really miss. Today, sadly, sometimes it feels like manufacturers design cars around technology first, while the driving experience is sadly in second place. Back then, BMW did the exact opposite. The technology existed to improve the driving, not replace it. And honestly, that philosophy is exactly what made people fall in love with BMWs back then. Okay, let's play a little game. Close your eyes and picture an E39 M5, now an E46 Coupe, and now an E38 7 Series, or maybe even an E92 M3, or if you really want to go hard on it, then just imagine a Z8. Notice something? None of them are trying too hard. There are no fake vents, no giant grills, no unnecessary lining across every panel. They are just beautiful, simple, balanced, and timeless. And I honestly think that's why they have aged so well. The E46 still looks modern enough to daily drive. The E39 M5 still looks classy enough to park outside a 5-star hotel. Even the controversial crisp bangle era has started to age incredibly well. Cars like the E60 M5 and the E92 M3 have gone from being criticized, yeah, I'm not gonna forget about the E63 6 Series also in here, they were criticized so much, but they became modern icons. And that's the funny thing about the truly good design. It doesn't need to shout, it quietly gets better every year. And honestly, if BMW would release a modern E46 with updated technology tomorrow, I think enthusiasts would completely lose their minds. Because good proportions never go out of style. Alright, now let's talk about what was hiding under the bonnet. Because honestly, BMW couldn't stop making incredible engines in the 2000s. It almost didn't really matter which model you bought. The M54, silky smooth, reliable if maintained properly, one of the greatest naturally aspirated straight sixes ever made. Then there's the M52 TU. Maybe I'm a bit biased because I have that engine in my own E46, but every single time I started the engine on that car, even though I can't drive it, it reminded me why I fell in love with cars. And yes, I haven't driven it yet, but I know that it's not ridiculously powerful, but it doesn't need to be. It drives beautifully, it sounds fantastic, and it has that unmistakable BMW straight six character. Although I'm definitely gonna mod it around 350, maybe 400 horsepower, but that's another topic for another video. Then there was the M57. Ask almost any BMW enthusiast about the greatest diesel engine ever built, and I guarantee the M57 will be definitely mentioned. People have taken them well beyond 500 horsepower, and somehow they just keep going. Then came the legends, of course, the S54 in the E46 M3, one of the greatest naturally aspirated 6-cylinders ever created. And because BMW apparently thought that wasn't insane enough, they built the S85 V10 for the E60 M5 and the E63 M6. It was a Formula 1 inspired V10 in a family sedan and a very beautiful coupe as the M6. Who the hell even thinks about that? That is just peak BMW. One thing I absolutely loved about BMW back in the 2000s, it was that every model felt completely different. The E39 M5 wasn't just a bigger E46 M3, or the E60 M5 wasn't just a faster 5 Series. The Z4 wasn't just a chopped up 3 Series. Every car had its own personality. Want something playful? Then there was the Z4. Want the perfect all-around sports coupe? E46. Want a luxury missile that could embarrass supercars? E60 M5. Or want effortless motorway cruising? Yes, an E39 530D. Even the regular 330 Ci had its own charm. You didn't need to spend M3 money to understand what made BMW special. And I think that's something we've slowly started losing. Today, sometimes different BMW models feel like they all follow the same recipe. Different size, different horsepower, but still same overall experience. Back then, each car had its own identity. Each one made you feel something different. You didn't just choose how much horsepower you wanted, you chose what kind of driver you want to be. And honestly, that made buying a BMW so much more exciting. Okay, if you think about the 2000s again, you knew that BMW wasn't afraid to do stupid things. And I mean that as the biggest compliment ever. Because the engineers at BMW clearly had one philosophy. Would this make an enthusiast smile? And if the answer was yes, then they built it. You know, just think about the E60 M5. Who in their right mind puts a naturally aspirated V10 that revs past 8,000 RPM into a business sedan? Today that sounds completely ridiculous, but back then BMW actually sold it. Then they built the Z8, a retro-inspired roadster with aluminium chassis, a V8 from the E39 M5, and styling that still looks like rolling artwork. The E46 M3 CSL, less weight, more power, carbon fiber roof, and one of the greatest intake sounds ever created. BMW wasn't trying to make the safest financial decision. They weren't trying to build cars people would remember forever. Okay, were some of those decisions expensive? Absolutely. Were some of them unreliable? Yeah, definitely. But here's one thing. 20 years later, we are still talking about them. Nobody dreams about sensible decisions. We dream about V10s, carbon airboxes, manual gearboxes, and cars that probably should never have existed. But thankfully, they did. If I had to describe the 2000s BMW with one sentence, it would be this. The engineers cared about how the car actually felt, rather than what the brochure said. Everything started with the driving experience. The steering wasn't just a way to turn the wheels, it talked to you. You could feel the road surface. You could feel the tires loading up through a corner. You could even tell when you were starting to lose grip. Modern electric steering is incredibly precise, but the hydraulic steering had something else. It had character. Then there was the chassis. BMW somehow managed to build cars that felt comfortable enough for daily commute, yet playful enough to make you take the long way home. Even a normal 330 Ci felt eager, like it wanted you to find another corner, another tunnel, another excuse to keep driving. And the best part, you didn't need to be doing 200 kilometers an hour to have fun. At normal road speeds, the car still made you smile. And I think that is what separated BMW from everyone else. They weren't obsessed with lap times, they weren't obsessed with making every drive feel special. And honestly, that's exactly why so many of us still love them today. Okay, here's something that I have realized over the years. People don't remember cars because they were practical. They remember how those cars made them feel. And in the 2000s, BMW absolutely nailed that feeling. Think about how many posters were hanging on the bedroom walls. E46 M3, E39 M5 Z8, E60 M5, M3 CSL, and I could even say more. These weren't just cars, they were dreams. Then there were the video games, Need for Speed, Gran Turismo, Forza. The E46 M3 became an icon for an entire generation. Even today, mention the BMW to a lot of enthusiasts, and one of those cars is probably the first thing that they picture. Most manufacturers built successful cars. BMW built cars that became part of people's childhood. And honestly, I don't think that happened on accident. When you combine a timeless design, rear-wheel drive, legendary engines, manual gearboxes, and an unforgettable driving experience, you don't just create a good car, you create memories. And memories last a lot longer than horsepower figures. Okay, now, here's the big question. Could BMW ever build another era like this? And honestly, I really hope so. But I don't think it will look the same. The automotive world has completely changed. Today's engineers have to think about emissions, hybrid systems, electric platforms, crash regulations, noise limits, fuel economy, software, touchscreens. There are simply far more rules than there were 20 years ago. And despite all of that, modern BMWs are still incredible. The B58 is an amazing engine, the G80 M3 is unbelievably capable. Them two proves BMW still knows how to build the proper driver's car. So this isn't me saying BMW is finished. Not at all. I just think that 2000s was the perfect era BMW has ever created. A perfect moment where technology had advanced enough to make incredible performance cars, but hadn't yet taken away the rawness that made them feel alive. Maybe that's why we still talk about them, because deep down, I think we all know that we probably won't see another era quite like this. So we keep running back to the 2000s. So, I was the 2000s peak BMW. Was it the engines, the design, the manual gearboxes, the hydraulic steering, or the naturally aspirated soundtrack? Honestly, I don't think it was just one thing. It was everything coming together at exactly the right time. BMW knew what it wanted to be, the ultimate driving machine. And every single car they built reflected that philosophy. Even the ordinary 330ci or the 530d still felt unmistakably like BMW. They weren't perfect. Cooling system failed, Venos caused headaches, the S85 V10 could certainly empty your wallet, but enthusiasts forgave those flaws, because every time they got behind the wheel, the car gave them something back, a feeling. And I honestly believe that's why these cars have become legends. Not because they were the fastest, or not because they were the most luxurious, but because they made driving feel exciting. But as always, now I want to hear from you. Do you think that the 2000s really was peak BMW? Or would you choose another era? Maybe the 80s or 90s, or maybe you think modern BMW is actually better? Let me know in the comment sections down below, because I'm genuinely curious where you stand. Now if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to smash that like button and also subscribe if you haven't already, because as I said, I am trying to reach 1000 subscribers by the end of 2026, and this is the only way you can help the channel grow and help me reach my goal by the end of the year. So thank you again so much for watching. Now all you have to do is drive very safe, stay positive, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.